Hi, welcome to my sewing room and to a new video. If you haven't been here before on this channel, I sew mostly vintage garments using authentic vintage sewing patterns. So if you're into that sort of thing, then I hope you decide to subscribe. Join me on my vintage sewing journey. I am so very excited for this one. One, because it is my very first series, and two, because in it I will be creating my wedding anniversary ensemble. So in today's video, part one, you will see me create a vintage inspired wedding dress, well in my case wedding anniversary dress, using a pattern from the 1950s that I got from Lady Marlowe, who reproduced it. If you would like to purchase the pattern, I will leave a link for it in the description box below. It is a very, very beautiful pattern that ended up being very simple. To make this dress extra special, I am using authentic vintage trim that I bought when I went to the vintage sale with Haley Marie and Stephanie Canada. If you haven't seen that video, I will link it up here so you can see all of the vintage goodies that I purchased while I was there. So I'm very, very excited for that. In part two, you will see me create the coat, and then in part three, you will see me do the gloves and the hairpiece and the styling of the hair and the makeup and all of that. So this should be a very fun series. I know we like to see everything all completed at once in 30 minutes or less, but that's not happening today. This will be an extensive process, one that I plan to take my time with and really enjoy. And so I hope you decide to subscribe and stick around to follow me on this journey as I create my wedding anniversary ensemble, 1950 style. You will get to see today the finished dress, so I hope you stick around to the end of the video. And as always, if you like the video, but I would really love it if you could leave me any questions, comments, or feedback in the box below. Let me know what you think of the dress. I would love to hear what you think of the trim and the idea of me doing a series and just all of those things. The comments are definitely what help push my channel, but help push me as well. So I thank you for being here. I look forward to the creation of my wedding anniversary ensemble 1950 style. So I hope you do too. And with all of that said, we need to get into the sewing as my wedding anniversary is approaching very fast. So for the anniversary dress, I'm using this pattern from Lady Marlowe, and it's readily available. If you like it, you can purchase it. I'll leave a link. I love how it's cut so low in the back and goes up high around the neck. But since it's chilly here, I'm going to be using this vintage McCall's to make a jacket, and I'm going to be making this one that's a little off the shoulder and with the 3/4 length sleeves. This is the fabric that I picked up, and I got it from Joann, and I love the texture of it. I think it'll make the dress look more wintry since it is late November. And I have this trim still that I got from the sale, the vintage sale in Tuberville. And so I want to try and incorporate this, whether it be at the waist or the straps or both. I'm not sure yet, and I'm not sure which one I'm going to use yet, but I know I definitely want to incorporate them to make the dress extra special. And so I'm going to want to take my time with this process, and I'll definitely be doing a mock-up because this fabric was not cheap. It wasn't overly expensive. I think it was about $12 or $13 a yard, but I had to get 6 yards of it. Definitely going to be doing a mock-up. And so you guys have seen me use Lady Marlowe patterns before, and they come on this really stiff, thick paper, which I've come to appreciate for its durability. So I have my muslin laid out. I cut the pieces out for the bodice. The skirt is just one big giant piece that you cut 2 of, and I don't think it's necessary to do a mock-up of that, so I won't. I'm just gonna do a mock-up of the bodice, which looks to be fairly simple. One big piece that we'll cut 2 of, and the bottom parts of this or whatever that attaches there. Top part, front and back of the peplum. This is the skirt waistband, and then these are the straps. So I won't use this. So I'm gonna cut these out. So I finally got pattern weights. I'm super excited. They make this process go so much quicker. So I just throw those down and proceed with cutting out the pieces in the muslin so that way I can prepare to do the mock-up. So here I am tracing out the darts. This bodice had a few weird ones. They were a little bit different from what I've seen before and what I'm used to, but I will say I learned a little bit more about the way things fit and why they fit that way. And so with every new project that I'm going into, I'm looking at it with a completely different eye than I would have a couple of projects before, or even one project before. Every project is a learning experience, and I am becoming more aware of that, even just by doing this mock-up, which I've never done before. I'm taking the time to learn the skills instead of just trying to get a finished garment that ends up not fitting me well anyway. Doing the necessary work it takes to build that foundation before I just try to skip to the good part. That's where I'm seeing all of my growth. So I got all of these darts and markings applied to the muslin, and I got everything pinned in place, and then I took it to the sewing machine and stitched it all together. I'm glad I did a mock-up. This bodice was a little bit tricky. I had sewed without looking at the instructions, and so I sewed the wrong part, and I caught the mistake, but it would have ruined my real fabric. So yes, I was very glad in this case that I did the mock-up, because the mistakes that I made just figuring out the order in which to sew everything and just the construction of the garment in general, I figured it out, but had I been using my fashion fabric and had to pick it apart, it would have been completely ruined. So I was really happy I did that. And I thought, why not just go ahead and cut out the skirt so that way it could hang in time for me to be able to hem it. So that's what I'm doing here. I got it all cut out and I took it to the sewing machine. Completed enough of the mock-up to know that I need to add 3 inches to the back, and other than that it fits great. So I am going to now cut it out of my main fabric, which I've already cut it out the skirt and it's hanging, so ready to cut into real fabric. And this actually arrived today, and so I'm going to be using this for the coat pattern instead of the other one, and I'm going to do this view. So I'm going to do a mock-up of this as well. And so this is the panel that I need to add the width to, the center back. And so now we go through the entire process again of transferring all of the markings and getting everything stitched. I didn't complete the mock-up like completely. I didn't feel that was necessary. I did just enough to be able to see how this garment was going to fit me and to learn the basic construction of it. I know I keep saying dress over and over again, but this is actually separates. This is actually a top with a peplum and a skirt with a waistband that then sits over top of it. And this is the peplum, and I'm guessing it's to make it fit snugly at the waistline, so that way the skirt sits smoothly over top of it. And I'm guessing that the peplum flares out a bit to make the skirt also flare out a little bit. So I don't know, we'll see. So as I was working through this design, it does make perfect sense. A lot of times when I'm attaching a bodice to a skirt, it never lays as smooth as I would like or as tight and neat as I would like. So I'm not sure, I haven't seen this before, but it makes a lot of sense for a garment to be designed this way with the top and the skirt separate. And so I'm definitely not mad at it. I think it totally helps the way that this fits at the waist. If you have any experience with this type of dress, quote unquote, or two-piece garment, please give me any details or information that you might have. So here's the bodice. I still need to add the strap and a separating zipper. I need to press this hem out a little bit, but other than that, I'm really pleased with how it looks. No complaints at all here. And so now I just need to add the zipper and the waistband and the belting to the skirt, and then I'm going to hem it by hand. And so that should be interesting, but that's pretty much what's left to do. And then I'll figure out how I want to incorporate the vintage trim onto this. And so that is a fun part that I'm really looking forward to. So I have to get the necessities out of the way, and then I will be able to move on to figuring out the placement for the trim. And so now it is time to do the hem, and I decided to do it completely by hand because I really want to take my time with the construction of this garment. I want it to look really neat since it's my anniversary dress. I want it to be able to stand the test of time, and years or decades from now when my daughter looks at this, I want her to be very proud of the work that I put into it. Maybe even so proud she wants to wear it herself. I don't know. A girl can hope, but we will see. So I just definitely wanted this dress to show the amount of care and time and love and energy that went into it. And so I hemmed the entire skirt, which is like 6 yards around, by hand, and it took me about 3 hours. I tried a lot of different stitches and techniques because I had never hemmed something this large by hand before, and so I just kind of wanted to also be able to play around with it and see what I liked best, what worked well for me, that sort of thing. And so I ended up finding a stitch that I really liked that was barely visible. At this time, I was not knowing that I was going to spend another 4 hours sewing the beaded trim around the hem, and so I wanted those stitches to be really invisible. And had I had known that I was just going to cover it all up with trim, I probably wouldn't have been as meticulous as I was, but it was a great investment of my time, and so I'm not mad at it. So I've attached the waistband. I just need to add the straps and a separating zipper in the back. Hem is finished. So this is when it all got started with the beaded trim. My first thought was to just put it around the waistband, and that would be a great detail that would really make the dress pop. I enjoyed the process as well as how it looked so much that then I decided I was going to add it to the hem. And so, yeah, it was a big undertaking. Starting with the waistband made it seem like it was a way easier process than it really was. And in the beginning of attaching it to the waistband, I struggled a lot, but once I got the hang of it and the stitch under control and that sort of thing, I really did enjoy the process. Doing a waistband is a lot easier than doing a full hem, and I don't regret my decision, but yes, it was definitely a process. And so, yeah, I think this is footage here of me now sewing it to the hem. So yeah, I'm really happy that I did, and the dress looks phenomenal already. It is super heavy. I don't know exactly if there's something I need to do to help take some of the weight off the hem or reinforce it in some way. I don't know. If you have any insight or tips to that, it would be great if you could let me know. And so here she is, all finished. I am in love with this dress. I am so happy I decided to go with the trim and take the time to painstakingly stitch her on there by hand. I am just thrilled with how this came out. This is about all I'm going to let you see for right now. You're going to have to stick around and subscribe if you would love to see the rest of this series. Let me know what you think of the dress in the comment box below. If you think I should add anything or do anything extra to her, or if you have any tips about how to deal with the weight of the dress. So yeah, I'm excited.